Hello students, welcome back to my class on our YouTube channel SSLC. Last time we discussed one poem of SSLC class 10 in English, that was Abraham Lincoln's letter to his son's teacher. Poetry section is going on. So the next poem which I decided to explain is Lochinvar. The name of the poem is Lochinvar. Lochinvar is the poem. Lochinvar. Right? Lochinvar. Lochinvar is written by Sir Walter Scott, a writer, poet, a storyteller who was good at telling stories in prose as well as in verses in poetry. He lived from 1771. He lived from 1771 to 1832. He was from Scotland. Lived from 1771 to 1832. That is in 18th and 19th century. He was a great storyteller. He wrote this poem. This poem is to show the braveness and how the young knights, young people of Scotland were used to be brave, dauntless, fearless, and they took part in wars bravely, and not just in war but also in their own life, in their personal life. They used to do brave things, they used to do unusual things, fearless activities. They were fearless, they were brave, they were dauntless, they were not coward, especially knights. Knight, K-N-I-G-H-T, knight. K-N-I-G-H-T, knight. Knight is a title given to a person who fights bravely in battles, who does something great in battles, wars. That person is given the title knight. This poem is also a story. Sir Walter Scott is telling us story of a knight. But this story is not from battlefield, or this story is not from war, or this story is not about how that knight fought or took part in battles and wars, but this is his love story. How he got back his love. Here, in getting back his love, he showed bravery. That is what explained in this poem. That is what shown, written in this poem. What is the name of the poem? Name of the poem is Lochinvar. Lochinvar, written by Sir Walter Scott. There are 8 stanzas in this poem. I have written 2 here. Every day 2 stanzas will be in every video. 2 stanzas will be explained. Today I am explaining 2 stanzas. In next video 2 more like that will be explained. Let me read the poem first. I would like to recite the poem for you. Then I will explain. The poem is like this. O young Lochinvar is come out of the west. Through all the wide border his steed was the best. And save his good broadsword, he weapons had none. He rode all unarmed, and he rode all alone. So faithful in love, and so dauntless in war. There never was knight like the young Lochinvar. He stayed not for break, and he stopped not for stone. He swam the Esk river where ford there was none. But ere he alighted at Netherby gate, the bride had consented, the gallant came late. For a laggard in love and a dastard in war was to wed the fair Ellen of brave Lochinvar. These are two stanzas, and remember this poem is for memorization. First four stanzas are for memorization. Any one stanza comes in exam and you have to write for 4 or 5 marks. Now let's see. The poem is about a knight and his name is Lochinvar. And oh, young Lochinvar is come out of the west. West here refers to Scotland. Scotland is in the midwest of Europe. Scotland is in the midwest of Europe. So from this word west, we come to know that Lochinvar is from Scotland. He was from Scotland. Scotland is in the midwest of Europe, and Scotland shares a big border with England. They share a big border with England, right? So Lochinvar is come out of the west, means he started his journey from Scotland. He is going somewhere. He's traveling. He's going to travel. His journey started from Scotland. So the knight Lochinvar started his journey from Scotland. Through all the wide border, his steed was the best. And that wide border, the border between Scotland and England, from this we come to know that he is going to England. He is traveling to England. So through the border, wide border, his steed, his horse. Steed means horse. Steed means horse. His horse was the best. He had the best horse. Just like him, he was brave, he was a knight, he had the best horse as well. So his horse did not give up. His horse was not tired. He was brave, he was not tired of his journey. His horse was also not tired. His steed was the best steed. His horse was the best horse. And save his good broadsword. Lochinvar brought a broad sword with him. Sword is a long knife, as we know. Sword is a long knife. Broadsword is that long knife which is sharp from both sides. Both the edges are sharp. Broadsword, right? Blade, a long blade which is sharp from both edges, both sides. So he just had one broad sword with him. He weapons had none. He did not take any other weapon with him. He did not have any other weapon with him. Why? Reason. What is the reason? Because he was not, from this we come to know that he was not going to take part in a battle. He was not going to take part in a war. He was not going to fight. He was going to get back his love. He was traveling for his love. It's a love poem. He was traveling to get back his love. What happened? Who was his love? And what had happened, that we will see later in the poem. But right here we come to know that he was not traveling to take part in war. He had just one broadsword and there was no other weapon with him. He rode all unarmed and he rode all alone. He was unarmed. There was no other arms with him. There was no army with him. He was all alone. He was not going with his soldiers, he was not going with his team, he was not going with his fighters. He did not have army, he was all alone. Imagine just one knight on his horse with one broadsword. And he was traveling from Scotland to England, the long border. He was going to cross that long border all alone. So faithful in love and so dauntless in war. He was faithful in love. He was faithful in love. Faithful, very obedient. He could just leave it, but he did not do that. He loved a girl, and just to be obedient to the girl, to be faithful to the girl, he was traveling from Scotland to England, risking his life. His own life was in risk because it was a long border. He was all unarmed, he was all alone. He did not take army with him, he did not take weapons with him. He was, because of that, writer, poet, Sir Walter Scott, he says that he was dauntless in war. He was dauntless. Dauntless means fearless, having no fear. He was dauntless in war, and he was faithful in love. When he took part in wars, he fought dauntlessly, fearlessly, and when he loved, he was faithful and obedient in love. He did not deceive the girl. That's why he was traveling from Scotland to England just for his love. And then, there never was a knight like young Lochinvar. There was no other knight in Scotland like him. Here, in this stanza, there are some qualities that are attributed, given to Lochinvar. What are those qualities that are given to Lochinvar? He was faithful. He was faithful in love, and dauntless in war, fearless in war, and there was no other knight like him in Scotland. These are some qualities that are given to Lochinvar by Sir Walter Scott. Right? So from this stanza, we come to know that a knight called Lochinvar is traveling from Scotland to England through the wide border. He has the best horse with him, and he has only one broadsword with him. He is all alone, and he is traveling, continuing his journey. And then, next stanza. Let's see the next stanza. Next stanza says, he stayed not for brake, and he stopped not for stone. He swam the Esk River, where ford there was none. These two lines show that there were obstacles on the way. There were obstacles on the way. Which obstacles? Brake. Brake means thicket. Thick trees, thick plants, thick grass, which stops the way, which stops us from continuing, from moving forward, right? But even though there were breaks, even though there was break, even though there were stones, like rocks were there, and river was also there on the way, but these obstacles could not stop him. He did not stop for these obstacles. He stayed not for break, thicket could not stop him, stones, rocks could not stop him. He swam the Esk River, where ford there was none. There was no ford. Ford means a place in the river where the river is not deep. One can walk and cross the river. One can walk and cross the river. Such a place in the river is called ford. There was no ford. So what did he do? He and his horse, they crossed the river. He crossed the river swimming. So these obstacles, break, stones, rocks, water, river, these things could not stop him. He continued his journey. He was, again we see from these two lines, we come to know that he was really a brave knight. There was no other knight like him. And he was doing all this for his love. That's why the poet calls him faithful in love. Risking his own life, he traveled, he took all these risks just for his love. And then, but ere he alighted at Netherby gate, but there was a problem. Ere, E-R-E, ere, before. Ere means before. Before he alighted, before he appeared at Netherby gate. Netherby gate is a place in England. Before he arrived there was a problem. Something had happened already. What was that? The bride, the girl, the woman, his love. The bride had consented. The gallant came late. She had consented. She had agreed. She was ready. Ready for what? Here poet is saying that the gallant came late. Gallant here refers to gallant, brave. Gallant means very brave. Gallant refers to Lochinvar. Gallant word is used here for Lochinvar. Lochinvar was late. Something had already happened. What had happened? The girl, his love, bride, the woman, she had agreed. Agreed for what? For a laggard in love and a dastard in war was to wed the fair Ellen of brave Lochinvar. That girl had already agreed to marry another man. Marriage had not taken place, but she had consented. She had agreed. She was ready to marry another man. Who was that man? But that man was a laggard in love. He was not faithful, obedient like Lochinvar in love, but he was quite opposite. That man with whom she was ready to marry was quite opposite to Lochinvar. Lochinvar was faithful, Lochinvar was obedient, but this man was a laggard in love. Laggard means the one who lags behind, the one who does not show boldness, bravery. He was a laggard in love and a dastard in war, and he was not a warrior, he was not a fighter, he was not a knight, but he was a coward. Coward, dastard means coward, opposite of brave. He was quite opposite to Lochinvar. So, Ellen, in this line, in second stanza, in last line, we come to know the name of the girl. What is the name of the girl? The name of the girl is Ellen. Ellen is the love of Lochinvar. Lochinvar loved Ellen. So, but because he was late, Gallant was late, he came late, he was a bit late. That girl, Ellen, she had agreed, she had consented, she was ready to marry another man, and that man was quite opposite to Lochinvar. These are two stanzas which I will explain, and there are 6 more stanzas, and it's a very interesting story written by Sir Walter Scott, a very good storyteller from Scotland. We'll see the other stanzas in my next video. I hope you all understood these two. Read these stanzas well. Read these two stanzas well. Try to understand. And if you have any doubt, you can write in comment. Thank you for watching.